When I started designing a painting called Prosper, I knew the papers needed to feel rich, full of texture, light, and optimism. So let's head to the gel plate and start creating the foundation for that story. Welcome back, friends. So I recently did a painting. I think it's a 24 by 24, and it's the Live Long and Prosper hands, similar to this one, except I'm doing it with gel printed papers and sort of color block. Really came out great, but it was this session that I'm going to show you that made it great. So I made these fabulous papers. Some of them were tone on tone papers, and some of them have a little bit more contrast. Some of them have more grunge than others. And I also was trying to work in some purple. So in this session, you will see me make the papers. So towards the end, I will share the finished piece, or as I'm putting on the finishing touches at a live event. I don't have a video of that entire process because a lot of it was done during a live event, and I did record some of it. So I'll put that at the end. So stay tuned to the end to see that finished piece of artwork. So at the beginning of this session, I was playing with color combinations and trying to figure out, how close I could get to the actual feeling that I wanted. And a lot of those papers you see off to the left were definitely not making it for me. So on this particular one, I'm going to try 3 different colors and see if any of them are going to work. So, and then we will get into a more flow of a session. But I'm using some deli paper here just to pull out and get it like a clean ghost, pulling out from within the openings. And now we're going to divide up the plate in like 3 colors that I think would go with this beautiful teal. Because some of them might have too little contrast and some might have too much contrast. I wanted to also see how purple would look with this color. And I have to wait for the paint to dry, but I'm giving it some thought because I really want to make sure that I get this right. And then once I know what my color combinations are going to be, then I'm going to make full sheets in different types of patterns, and I'm even going to use my color shaper, which is a technique that I love. It makes very beautiful, ethereal papers. So we're just going to divide it up into 3 sections. Really got to clean that brayer when I don't want to muddy up the teal. It doesn't look very teal. Oh no, teal was the first layer, I'm sorry. So this is, I think it's a combination of cerulean blue and white. And I'm using rice paper. I'll put the link to the rice paper below. It's actually a printable rice paper. You could print using your inkjet or your laser jet printers, but I actually like printing on the gel plate with this rice paper. It works really well. It has a smooth side and a rough side, and it really does a great job. It is expensive, I will say, more expensive than some others. Figures. Okay, so the far left is too Christmassy. I don't like that at all. I do like the section in the middle where the darker blue and also the purple. I think those colors are good. And the really subtle on the far right is a maybe. So I have a messy plate, so I'm going to pick it up with some Indian yellow. I love this paint. It's very transparent, as you could see, picks up well, and this might be an interesting paper, or at least a background. So I'm using the same rice paper. I'm going to use the same paper throughout. I may occasionally use my deli paper when I want to pick up in between. I'm going to maybe need some deli papers anyway. So I do use them to leave me a nice clean ghost. So I didn't get all of it, but look at how that's kind of interesting. So I may print on top of that again. Now my brayer still had some yellow on it, so I'm getting some interesting colors. So I don't know if this was a good idea, but I'm still at that stage where I'm trying to find the right color combinations. I think that paper will be good for something else, but not necessarily for this particular project. So I'm looking for some kind of red, and I think I was hoping that something there was going to work, but that wasn't making it for me. This is quinacridone purple. So I really wanted to work purple into this painting, so I'm working very hard at it. This is one of my stencils. I'm trying to improve this paper. We'll see if it works or not. That particular stencil, I think I like the ghost better than I do, what I just did. But we have an interesting ghost, and it is purple. So I'm going to let this dry completely, and then maybe use, pick it up with one of the blues. I'm definitely thinking the purple and blue combination is going to work, and I love that brayer sheet. Those are kind of some of the colors that I want to have in this painting, plus red. So while I was waiting for this to dry, I get this bright idea that I'm going to paint in some of those little openings. I'm just going to try this, see if I like it. It's a very transparent color, so I don't know how it's going to work after I lay down the blue and pick it up, but I wanted to give it a try. And now I'm going to have to wait for it to dry even longer. Because I'm putting it on pretty thick because it is so transparent. So I'm definitely thinking that maybe I would experiment a little bit more with this painting on the plate. I haven't really done that much, so that you might be seeing that in the near future. But anyway, now we have to wait for this to completely dry, and then I'm going to lay down a shade of blue. I'm not 100% sure, but a shade of blue. All right, here we go. So I'm all dry. Oh, this is the cerulean blue that I've mixed with some white. I'm using Nova color paints. I did mix a slight bit of open paint in there. I'm not trying to make it an open paint. I'm just trying to slow the dry time down so that it's more like Amsterdam paints, like that kind of dry time. Because Nova color paints dry almost instantly, it seems. So you have to add something to it if you're going to use it on a gel plate. And I'm going to wait about 2 minutes. No, maybe not. I am slightly sped up, so that was probably about a minute. All right, so as you can see, where I painted, because it's so transparent, is now sort of an olivey green, and I don't hate it. I don't know that I love it, but I don't hate it. So now I'm switching to the quinacridone red. So I'm still in the experimental phase of this session where I'm trying to find the color combinations that work for me and the patterns that work for me. So I'm trying a couple of my stencils, and I pull out this one, which is actually one of my favorite ones, but maybe not so much with the red. I don't know. We're going to see. But I'm trying different things. This is the deli paper again. Like, this is my favorite paper to clean and to leave you with a really good ghost. So that didn't clean so much on the first go around, so we're going to print 2 of them. Nice ghost. Now I have a really nice ghost. And so now I'm trying to think, what do I want to combine that color with? I'm trying different things. I'm trying not to do my go-tos. So normally I would never do this red and blue combination, but like I said, I'm trying different things. So I decide to like pick up through my new stencil. And that's a fun deli sheet. So now I have just where the lines are from the stencil. That's where my pattern is. And so I have to let that dry, and I'm going to pick that up with another color now. So I'm going to pick this up with white. I didn't wait for it to completely dry. So the blue is still a little bit, just slightly wet. So it's mixing with the white a little bit. It's just, I don't know, blurring isn't the word. It's smearing, I guess. It's just slightly smearing. And I'm going to pick this up in about a minute or 2 minutes. So I left it for 2 full minutes. I really wanted to make sure I got a clean pull. And that's so much more interesting than if it was just a white background. So that actually might be good because I do have some other yellow papers that are using that same stencil. So I would like to have some of my pattern carry through, if that makes any sense. Well, maybe it'll make more sense when you see the painting at the end. Definitely stay tuned for that. So I'm kind of looking at how the papers look next to each other to see, if I can visualize how that will look. Actually, that red one right there might be good. So what's distracting is all the white. So I'm going to cut up some of these papers so that I can visualize them better, like how they look next to each other. Like I'm starting to see, a color story here. And this will help me decide what I need more of. So this was the yellow paper that I was talking about that was using that same stencil. And that was actually from another session, and I decided I wanted to use it for this project. So I'm liking that red and blue paper. I don't know why I keep putting it aside. Anyway, the yellow is perfect. And I'm still not finding anything. Well, there's a little bit of purple in there. Let's see if any of this works. I wanted orange as well. So I'm just looking at this as a color palette so that I can see just what papers I need to make more of. So I'm thinking a red and orange combination would be good. So this is what Nova Color calls organic orange. I'm laying that down first. So that's going to be my first layer. So I let that dry for about a minute, minute and a half. And I'm going to overlay red, on the quinacridone red, on top of this. I think. I don't know. I see crimson. Yeah, quinacridone. Actually, I'm mixing it with naphthol crimson. Or I'm doing a 50-50 because I'm not sure which will look best. But you know, they look so, after you put them down on the plate, they look so similar. Anyway, I'm using a color shaper to just make some random shapes on the plate. This is always a fun way to make papers. Very unexpected. So again, I have to, you know, wait about a minute or two, really make sure that paint dries. So surprisingly, I can't tell the difference between those two paints. They look very different in the jar, but on the paper, I really don't see it. Anyway, I'm just using this other deli paper to sort of pick up some of the wet paint. I might leave some of that. That was from the really heavy areas that the color shaper just pushed the paint around and left it kind of pooling in some areas. But I love this sort of tone on tone, so I'm probably also going to do a blue paper with the same technique. And again, I'm cutting it to make sure that I really can't tell the difference between those two reds. But anyway, I think it's going to look good with the other papers. So I keep pulling it together, looking at the palette, seeing are some of these papers too busy? And I'm thinking for this particular project, yes. So I am loving that blue paper in the background, loving the red paper I just made, the red and orange. I'm just not sure about some of these others. They're not, maybe there's just a little too much pattern going on. So I'm going to use the color shaper again, and we're going to make a blue paper because I love how I have the two different blues on my brayer. So yeah, we're going to do the color shaper on the teal. I'm going to pick up with the darker, with the other blue, which is slightly darker. So that's kind of the secret with tone on tone, is one of them has to be just slightly darker. If they're identical in like tonal value, it's just not going to work. It's going to be a little too subtle, which is that blue paper that's just above my plate right now. It's a little too subtle. So let's take a look. That is beautiful. It's subtle, but there is some dimension in there. There's some darker areas as well. Really beautiful. I think it's actually a little bit of the purple, that residue that was left on the plate. So that's the kind of like subtle papers that I need in combination with the printed pattern paper. Got to have a little bit of variety. So this is, yeah, this is Payne's Gray. And I decide I'm going to put that over this on one side. Don't know why. But Payne's Gray, at least with the Nova color, oh, that is very pretty. That is very pretty. So and when you're overlaying this technique, it's really interesting. But now I like the paint that's on the plate. And I'm still looking at this purple. I've got to fit some purple into this. So on the other side, I'm doing the Payne's Gray again. I was just picking up some of it, and I'm trying to leave a ghost, kind of like what was left on the plate. Trying to match what was on the right hand side. So now that it's dry, I'm going to pick up with the quinacridone purple. And hopefully there's going to be enough contrast here. They're not going to just both be so equally dark that we don't see it. So I didn't show you this, but I waited about a minute and a half before I pulled. And as you could see, it even picked up some of the teal that was left on the plate. So we got a really clean pull. And we've got a lot of transparent Payne's Gray that's showing the purple through. So we've got various shades of purple. And I think it'll be really good for the shadow areas. So I'm going to get some inspiration from that yellow paper that's right next to me. And I'm going to try to do something with Payne's Gray. I'm going to pick this up with the deli sheet. So now I have a nice ghost. I need another dark color that's sort of reddish. So I was thinking of maybe mixing the quinacridone red or the crimson red. That's the crimson red. So we're going to mix quinacridone purple and a little crimson red. All right, it's about 50-50, and I'm just kind of roughly mixing it up. We will get some brighter red areas. And then we're going to pull. Okay, and then we're going to fast forward in time, a minute later, and we have a nice dark paper. It has a lot of depth in it. So I think that will be also a nice additional red that I can use in the hand that isn't quite so bright. So I'm going to make some notes so that I can make more of these papers, not on camera, but I want to be able to try to have additional papers similar so that I have enough to work with when I'm actually making the painting. But I will not bore you with multiples on this one. We now have our color palette. We know what kind of textures and what kind of patterns we want. So I think, I'm ready to, get started on this painting. So again, just to be sure, I'm going to trim some of the white down on some of these papers so that I can really get a feel for how it's going to look on the end results. The white is so distracting. But when I see the colors right next to each other, then I can really see if this is going to work. So I don't have the purple paper on here, but I will definitely keep it handy in case I want to use it. But I definitely want to use that blue paper that's in the background. So here's some variations. So I have the one that I hand painted, and I have another similar one next to it. So they're both going to be good for this project, so I'm happy with that. So I made a few pages of these red and orange, so I was very happy with those as well. And also made an additional one with this, where I mixed the red and the purple. And this one has a brighter red area, so I'm probably going to use that also. And these papers I love. I made one that was more teal, one that has more Payne's gray, a more subtle one that has darker edges to it, like where the silicone color shaper kind of dug into the paint, moved it around. It left some nice shadowy areas. I tried to make another yellow one. My brayer was a little dirty, so I got a much dirtier background. It's the black kind of mixed in with the yellow, and of course I got like this interesting olivey green color. But I like them both. We'll see which one ends up in the painting. So I have, I think, everything that I possibly could need. And I do still have the purple paper. I don't know why I'm not pulling it out at this point. I think I was so unhappy with it that I decided not to use it, and then I think I changed my mind and used it. We shall see. So as you could see, there were quite a few other papers that I used. There's that green that's in the palm. That was a cleanup sheet where I used some purple along with that sort of very vibrant yellow green. And I ended up using that purple and teal piece, as you can see in one of the fingers. So I ended up using some of the papers I didn't think I was going to use. The red did seem a little bright to me, but I'm still happy with it. So I'm using a fine point needle nose bottle that's filled with high flow paint, carbon black, and I'm just outlining, giving it a real sort of free form outline, not trying to be fussy or anything, going outside the lines, letting it blob when it wants to blob. This is something that I did recently on the Wish painting. I don't know if I shared it here at the channel. It's on my website. And it's, I think, a fun technique, and I just love, it's like drawing with a little bottle. And so this was done at a live event. I thought I was going to have more of an audience. I did not have much of an audience at this point of this time in the evening, but this was the finishing touch. I will link this bottle also in the description below. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you're inspired to create something with your papers. Make some papers with a specific goal in mind, like come up with an idea and then make papers specifically for that. It's a little bit different than just gel printing, you know, when you have a goal in mind. If you do try something like that, please let me know and leave me a comment below if this is a process that you already have in place. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to create, inspire, and share, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Here's another video where I was making papers specifically for a project. Enjoy.